Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Chapandi. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The title of this evening's talk is Bhagavad Gita for Students. Is it not something like that? In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, Mamai Vangsho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatanaha. Every living being is part and parcel of Krishna. Bhagavad Gita is for everyone, not only for students. But it may be especially appropriate to students because students are supposed to be inquisitive to understand.
ఇది ప్రత్యేకించి విద్యార్థులకి పరిగణిస్తుంది ఎందుకంటే విద్యార్థులు ప్రత్యేకించి ఇటువంటి విషయాల మీద ఆసక్తి ఎక్కువగా కనబరచాలి కాబట్టి.
In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna mentions 4 kinds of people who approach him. One of the 4 categories is jignasu, persons who are inquisitive. Of course, students today are not so much inquisitive to understand the truth as to get a degree so they can get a job. Yeah, you use the word vidyarthi, one whose purpose is to gain knowledge, but they're more moneyarthi than vidyarthi. Even the word dhanam, you translated money as dhanam. But the Vedic concept of dhan is not exactly the same as money. So it's difficult to... The whole way of thinking in the modern world is upside down, back to front, and inside out. Ulta, viparita, all kinds of different words. But really, a student should be a vidyarthi. He should be inquisitive as Arjuna became inquisitive to understand Kim Tad Brahma, Kim Adhyatma, what is the ultimate reality, what is spiritual. Kim Tad Brahma, what is that Brahma? And it's especially appropriate for students as they are in the cusp of their life. In other words, most of their life is in front of them and they're preparing for that. And it's hoped that their consciousness and outlook has not become totally jaded and faded by the hard knocks of working to get money. I know this is difficult to translate, but do your best. Young people tend to be somewhat hopeful and tend to be, not all of them. And as time goes on, people tend to become more and more hopeless. Young people, yuvaka, that hope that we shall be happy in this material world, that is given by Maya, Krishna's illusory energy. Brahma matram, just an illusion. So in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna first of all points out what is the situation of this world. Janma mrityu jara vyadhi dukkha doshanu darshanam. Krishna says that this is real knowledge to see that the condition of this world is full of the misery of birth, death, old age and disease. The students think that by education we shall get success, but we should know that real success begins with real knowledge. And real knowledge means to understand that we are eternal living beings. We are not the present body that we are in. That's the beginning of real knowledge. And that the attempt to be happy within this material world must be a failure because this material world is by nature full of misery. So the whole idea that by education we will get success, that is correct, but it is misapplied. The whole idea that by education we shall get success, it is correct, but it is misapplied. The idea that we'll get a degree, then we'll get a job in which we'll earn money, we'll have a career in which we'll go up. This is the idea of having a successful life. But it is based on the ignorance, on the avidya of thinking that this life is all in all and this world is a place in which we can be happy. But real vidya, Real knowledge, as given by Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, begins by understanding that real life, real happiness, real success is not of this world, but of a spiritual nature. So real knowledge leads to success. But real success means to transcend the conditions of this material world. The condition of the basic condition of this material existence is punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. Again and again getting born, again and again dying. So real success means to get free from the cycle of birth and death. This is what students should be taught. But no one teaches you this. If at all this knowledge is broached, it is only to mock it. Oh, this religion, nonsense. This is typical of Kali Yuga. Everything upside down. That which is good is considered bad, and that which is bad is considered good. Adharmam dharmam iti ya manyase tamasavrita. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that persons who are on the lowest level of consciousness, they think that what is adharma, what is wrong, is right. So if we ask people to lead a pure life, to understand what is their spiritual position, to become free from birth and death, people say, that's stupid. And if we encourage people to get drunk and the young girls to be just like prostitutes, they think, very good. Is it? Is it like that? So, actually Bhagavad Gita is meant for students. Without becoming a student, no one can understand Bhagavad Gita. There are various people who study Bhagavad Gita in an academic way. It's very difficult how to say the word academic in traditional, because there's no panditya, or it means, the real meaning is in the proper meaning. You could say Tarkic, maybe something like that. It's not exactly the same term. Pramarnagata Vidya, no. This is Pramarnagata Vidya. Another word for student is Chhatra. Chhatra is synonymous with Shishya, or it's two perspectives on the same term. It's two perspectives on the same term, Chhatra and Shishya. Shishya means, anyway, you know the word. I don't know if you really know what it means, but it's more or less there. Means who follows the shashan of the Guru, Anushashan. And by following the instruction of the Guru, then he becomes Chhatra, which means sheltered. Chhatra means under the Chhatra in Sanskrit. If we follow the instructions of the Guru, then we are sheltered by the Guru. By taking knowledge from the Guru, we receive shelter from the onslaught of material existence. Attack, akraman. One who does not approach Bhagavad Gita in a submissive spirit, as a disciple, cannot understand Bhagavad Gita. For instance, there is a very great misunderstanding about one particular statement or some of the general ethos of Bhagavad Gita. The general ethos, the Sadharan Vishayam, you could say. Dr. Ambedkar and his followers have criticized that Bhagavad Gita is upholding the caste system. There's no real term for caste system, because it's a Western concoction. There was no such idea. It's a Western imposition on Indian society, the whole way of looking at it. So undoubtedly, within India, in what is known as the caste system, there has been much wrong done in the name of being a Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra or less by birth. But that is not upheld by Bhagavad Gita. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna upholds that there should be a division of society into Brahmanas, Kshatriya, Vaishyas and Shudras. He says, Charto Varnyam Maya Srishtam Guna Karma Vibhagashaha. There are 4 varnas created by me according to the qualities and the natural tendency to work of different men. He says Guna Karma Vibhagashaha. He doesn't say Janma. He doesn't say by birth. This is a very important point to understand. That the division of society into 4 orders is actually a very good way to organize society. Instead of giving everyone the same education, young men should be trained according to their propensities and their abilities. Instead of training everyone in the same way, if people are trained according to their innate abilities, that will be more pleasing for them and more productive for the whole society. And it may be that not everyone requires to go to school for 10, 15 or 20 years. Just like one of our devotees in Hyderabad, he's a shop owner, bookshop owner. I can just say bookshop owner Lou, and that's, I can also, I guess that's modern Telugu. So, his eldest son, how old is his eldest son? 16? He's 16. So he's in the shop, dealing with customers. He doesn't need a big PhD in the mechanical investigation into the ionic exchange in the reproductive cells of Telangana butterflies. So if you can remember all that. I don't know if I can remember all that. Yes, but you don't require that to be in a shop. Some very simple, basic knowledge is required, and that spirit of a Vaishya, to sell and make money. Similarly, if someone's going to be an electric mystery, they can learn, say if their father's an electric mystery, they can learn it from him very easily. No need of going for 10 years, 20 years education. Electrician, yeah. To drive an auto rickshaw doesn't require any education except to see the road signs and how to count the money. Road signs you don't bother with anyway if you're an auto rickshaw driver. And you learn how to bribe the police when they catch you, and you can learn it all in a couple of hours. So those who are going to be very deeply intellectual, they require deep education. They should be called brahmanas. People who are going to administer the state, it's a completely different kind of education. They should be educated differently. But most people nowadays who are in administrative positions, they have no training for that. One of the best qualifications if you want to be a politician is to be a retired film star. Because they know acting, how to pretend and how to give speeches and pretend that they're concerned about the people. But Vedic education is meant first and foremost not for learning ABC equals MC squared and so on, but character training, charitram. In your college, it doesn't matter. You can be a drunkard, you can smoke, you can use vulgar language. Doesn't matter. All you have to do is get your degree. Whatever else you do, doesn't matter. And even if you don't get a degree, you can pay someone to give you the certificate. Or you can join a political party that will threaten the college governors to give you the certificate anyway. This is not education. The education, how to be a Rakshasa, that is not proper education. Real education begins with understanding that human life is meant for God realization. And that education is the great contribution of the culture of this great country, Bharatavarsha, Pradhana. And Bhagavad Gita is the essence of all Vedic knowledge. Vedic knowledge is vast, Vishala. You may be aware that Vedic knowledge covers not only spiritual subjects, but also many material subjects. For instance, there is Vimana Shastra, metallurgy, Dhatu Gyana, Loha, but it's not only Loha. Dhatu Shastras. I don't know. I also don't know. I got stuck on that one. Now, here's another example. Up to the present day, astrology is very prominent in Indian life. And that is mostly for making marriages, opening businesses, and so on, things like that. But Jyotish is based on knowledge of how the planets are moving and predicting their positions and so on. And it requires, because the planets move to a large extent in predictable ways, the study of the movement of the planets can be done by advanced mathematical techniques. So using modern scientific methods, one can predict the time of the sunrise in Hyderabad tomorrow. And using ancient Vedic techniques, one can also do so. Which means that in ancient times, the Vedic rishis also had advanced knowledge of cosmology. And that the Vedic mathematics is so advanced, that's also well known, that if we ask someone who's trained in Vedic mathematics how to multiply 37,241,729 by 267,212, they can give you the answer quicker than you can put it into your calculator. Just in their head they can do it. Anyway, you can make up some number. So even materially there was very advanced knowledge in this land. Actually, this is not Indian knowledge, because knowledge transcends any geographical boundaries. But this knowledge was especially cultivated and propagated in this land. In the course of time, by the influence of Kali Yuga, much of that knowledge has become lost. But the essence of that knowledge is the spiritual knowledge. And the essence of all spiritual knowledge is given by Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. It begins with understanding that this material world is miserable, and that our real happy life is in the spiritual world, in the eternal service of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So as you are students and your life is ahead of you, of course we can't say for sure, because life is uncertain. We don't know if we'll all be alive even in 2 seconds. But anyway, generally we plan the course of our life during youth. So the best advice we can get from Bhagavad Gita is to live our life in such a way that we don't get born again. You might become a great engineer or a great cricket player. Probably most of you would prefer to be a great cricket player than a great engineer, or a great politician, or a great businessman. But unless we understand the message of Bhagavad Gita, we are simply a great fool. Without understanding the actual purpose of life, however much we are praised by others, it is simply one big fool being praised by smaller fools. So vidya is the antithesis of avidya. It's the opposite, you could say. As long as we don't have knowledge of the soul and relationship with the Supreme Soul, Bhagavan, then we're in a condition of avidya, ignorance, foolishness. So Bhagavad Gita is that knowledge, actual knowledge, which saves us from the ignorance and foolishness which causes us to suffer birth after birth in this material world. Bhagavad Gita is the introductory knowledge to the science of God. So please become a student of Bhagavad Gita. You'll have to find out the right teacher also. Teacher means someone who studies, understands, lives according to the message of Bhagavad Gita, and is competent to teach others. So I won't speak more now unless there are any questions. I have to go off to Secunderabad. Are we in Hyderabad or Secunderabad? On the border. Tatashta. Are you ready to translate lectures? Can you do that? Yes, please. How to control desires and attractions. Yeah, please say it in Telugu. That's a very good question, because material desire and attraction binds us in this material world. Our Lord Krishna addresses this topic throughout Bhagavad Gita in various places, but especially at the end of chapter 3, when we're talking about material desire, we're talking about the word is karma. Okay, so we can just read the last few verses of chapter 3. Actually, you have to study, not just hear it once, but you have to study with the explanation, and you have to Shravan Manan Nididhyasana. You have to hear it, consider it, and then take it within your heart. So anyway, we can, from chapter 3, text 40, Indriyani mano buddhir asyadhishtana muchyate etai vimohyatyesha jnanam avritya dehinam. Oh, actually, I should have started before that. Anyway, alright, just read the translation to text 40. I won't read them all. It's quite a big section. The essence is that by knowledge, by understanding that we are not the body, we do not belong to this material world, and by living a regulated life under following rules, under guidance, we can regulate the senses and overcome material desire. Vidhi nisheda. Do they understand these terms? Vidhi nisheda. They may not understand, actually. One generation ago, everyone would understand. Now they don't understand. Means rules that rules to be followed, things that we should do, and restrictions. There are some things we should do which purify the consciousness. Most important of which is hearing discussions such as these and chanting the holy names of Krishna. And there are restrictions also. For instance, don't watch TV. Oh, I feel as if someone ripped my heart out. But if we want to become free from material desire, and the TV at every second is promoting material desire, and not only material desire, but at the very lowest level. If we, sociological studies have been made of the most intelligent and successful people in the world, and one trait that they all have in common is that they don't watch TV or very little. So that's just an example. There are other things that pollute our consciousness. Drinking alcohol, smoking, eating meat. So these things should be understood. You may think, well, doesn't sound very good. I don't want to give up all these things. But we're offering the proposition that you can get free from birth and death and go to a position of eternal happiness in the spiritual world. So you're going to have to make some effort to go there. Anyway, at this point you should at least begin to think about these things. Apply your God-given intelligence to try to understand these points. We're not saying that you should... Actually, we are saying that you should change your life overnight, but we understand that not everyone will do that. That at least you should begin to think about these very serious and important points, which unfortunately not in the home, from your family members, not in the school, or the college, not from the TV. No one is teaching these things. It is the greatest crime against human society that they do not teach these things. Actually, even in England last year, one Englishman said something similar to me. Not exactly on the point, but similar. He must have been a little older than me, and he said that he had so many health problems throughout his life, and he tried all different medicines, and then he started practicing yoga and vegetarianism, and his health improved so much. So he said it's a crime that this isn't taught. So there was just a group of people, and I was just asking them about who they are, what's their background, before I spoke to them. And so during the talk, I said that just as you understand that not to teach physical yoga for physical health is a crime, then how much more is it a crime not to teach the highest yoga by which we can get free from all suffering for all time. Anyway, this very important question that you have asked, how to get free from material desire, you will find the answer in this Bhagavad Gita as it is. So please study it. Yeah, thank you for a good question. Yeah, all right. You read it out in Telugu and then I'll read it. Oh, page number, it's the last it's chapter 3 from verses about 37, something like that, to the end of the chapter. It begins with Arjuna's very good question. That why do we do bad things even though we don't want to? We feel as if we're forced to. One number verse is that. Atha kena prayuktoyam. That's 36. And then Krishna's reply starts with verse 37. I just came from Bhimavaram. I met one doctor there. He's a young man. He's maybe 30-something. From my perspective, that's young. From your perspective, it's old. So he told me that he'd read the whole Bible and he was very impressed by that. But then when he started to read Srila Prabhupada's books, he understood that this is like a great ocean of knowledge which far surpasses the Bible. Yeah. Yeah, give this book so you don't have to put it on your leg. Yeah. No, very big question. Good is that which is conducive to our well-being and that of others. And bad is the opposite. Therefore we have to understand what is our actual well-being. That is also understood from this section of the Bhagavad Gita which I just referred you to. Indriyani paranya hur indriyebhya parang manaha manasastu parabuddhe yo buddhes paratasuha tu saha. There are the senses, the mind, the intelligence, and the soul. So something might be good for our senses, we might like it, but it might be bad for our spiritual development. So I might think, well, smoking a cigarette, that's good, because I like it. But on the platform of the intelligence, we should understand that I'm paying to poison my body. And from the platform of spiritual understanding, it blocks spiritual understanding. So to understand what is good, and conversely what is bad, we shall have to understand what is our real self-interest. That was actually Arjuna's question which opened up the Bhagavad Gita. What is good and what is bad? It was Arjuna's misunderstanding of what is good and bad that opened up the discussion of Bhagavad Gita. And Krishna explained that what you're thinking is good is only what is good for your body and your mind, and maybe for society at a superficial level, but what is really good is that which is good for the spiritual benefit of everyone. What is really good is spiritual, that means which helps us to get free from the mistaken of identification of ourself with our body, thinking that I am this body. I am a male student from Telangana, not from Andhra Pradesh. We don't like all those people from Andhra, even though we're not even sure who. Even by looking at them, we can't tell who's from Andhra Pradesh or Telangana. But anyway, if they're not from Telangana, we don't like them. I am from India. We don't like the Pakistani. I am a Hindu. We don't like the Muslims. This is all on the bodily concept of life. This has nothing to do with spiritual understanding. In this life, you're born in Telangana, in India. In the next life, you might be born in China or America. I guess you'd like to be born in America. But what happens if you're born in as a chicken in America? Same thing that happens if you're born as a chicken in India. You're tortured all your life and then your head is cut off at the end. So you may think, well, I'm an American chicken, but better than being an Indian chicken. But anyway, your body turns into American stool instead of Indian stool. So better get free from birth and death. Chant Hare Krishna, understand Bhagavad Gita, and go to Krishna. Okay, I'll take one more question and then go. Meantime, the Indian or Telangana mosquitoes are very busy at this time of the evening. Yeah, okay. And other questions they can ask our devotees here. You can answer the other questions after I go. Okay. Ask the mosquitoes. You can get born as a mosquito also. It's not guaranteed. Human birth is not guaranteed. So, Hare Krishna, thank you for coming. I have to go now for a... Why is the population increasing? Yeah. Why is the population increasing? Yeah, well, population of mosquitoes is also increasing. But the point is that they're unlimited living entities in different bodies. So the human population is very small in comparison to all the other living beings. If you don't believe what Krishna says about reincarnation in Bhagavad Gita, then you can accept there is scientific proof also. But however, the scientists don't like to accept it because they're atheists. But there is very good scientific proof also. All right. If you have any other questions, you can see Nitai Nimai is here. Krishna Keshav. You can speak with them in Telugu. I hope it's Telangana Telugu. No.
The other two can speak for a few minutes.
Oh, yeah. Gadadhar can speak.